It's not hard to find retro-infused games these days, but it's surprisingly difficult to find ones that both look and play the part. Cue developer Yacht Club and their brand new Wii U, 3DS, and PC game Shovel Knight, which takes tons of inspiration from a litany of great NES games and combines them to make a unique and fun action and platform-ridden side-scroller. Indeed, Shovel Knight is my favorite game so far in 2014. Here's why. Shovel Knight is an amalgamation of elements from the who's who of the NES's expansive roster of games. Its levels and bosses are heavily inspired by Mega Man's brilliant layouts, colorful palettes, and expert enemy designs. Its combat consists of one part DuckTales and a smidgen of Ninja Gaiden, mixing up the strategic play of the former with the epically fast pace of the latter. Its world map is ripped straight out of Mario 3, one of the best games of all time, while its emphasis on town exploration, upgrading, and backtracking represents a synthesis of Zelda 2 and Faxanadu, two woefully underappreciated NES gems. Yacht Club has left no stone unturned in finding inspiration for its new old game, and it's used the elements it's handpicked to create something brilliant. But here's the thing, for all of that borrowing, Shovel Knight feels fresh. It doesn't come off as derivative. In premise, it sounds like nothing more than a fan-concocted wish, but it looks and plays like something unique, especially with so many old-school throwbacks littering the gaming landscape these past few years. Its graphics and soundtrack are especially all its own, tinged with NES-era inspiration, but never to the point of outright aping anything. It utilizes gorgeous parallax scrolling, has its own fresh chiptune soundtrack, and is perpetually easy on the ears and eyes. Combat in Shovel Knight is fluid, and as a game from the old school, it has an easy-to-understand control scheme. Movement, attack, and jump are your only options on the field of battle. It's not quite as tight as Mega Man, nor is it as heavy as Castlevania or quite as quick as Ninja Gaiden. It falls somewhere in the middle and carves out a feel all its own. Shovel Knight can slash his namesake shovel, use it as a pogo stick, DuckTales style, and he can dig up treasure and blue dirt, rock, and minerals at will. He can even upgrade his attacks and find new sub-weapons on almost every stage. This gives you a lot to do on every level. You're not just traversing, discovering, gathering, and fighting. You're doing all of that and more with regularity. Shovel Knight's Mario 3-inspired world map is overflowing with stages to explore and enemies to defeat. Each stage has its own unique theme, again inspired by Mega Man, and each level has plenty of secret areas to discover and loot to find. Loot is especially important in Shovel Knight, as it can be exchanged for essential upgrades to your health and mana, as well as other valuables that will make your life easier. I just wish there was more enemy diversity on various levels and perhaps a greater enemy population as well. In this sense, Shovel Knight has opted for a more DuckTales-like approach, with fewer enemies and more feats of platforming, which isn't necessarily ideal. I've always been partial to Mega Man-like stages littered with a diverse array of foes. In fact, Shovel Knight isn't all that difficult when judged by the standards of its inspirations, and it has a forgiving recovery system that relies on checkpoints instead of lives and continues. But if you are having problems, there are always ways to make the situations more manageable. This will allow Shovel Knight to attract both the older, retro gamers it's so clearly aimed at, as well as a newer generation that has no idea what it's missed. It may not crush your soul like Castlevania 3 or Battletoads, but that's okay. New Game Plus can always fix that problem. I absolutely love Shovel Knight. It was a pleasure to play, and I suspect it will be a game I go back to as the years move on. Shovel Knight packs an astute understanding of the old school and the essential games of the NES era, while carving out its own path. Its challenge is limited, but it's still an absolute must-play. For more on Shovel Knight, dig deep into IGN. And now, let's bash some enemies with a spade.